Hello and good evening, Chicago. Welcome on in to another episode of Chi-Town Weekly here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Getting off to a little bit of a later start than we expected here on Monday night, but there's a perfectly good reason for that. We'll get into that. Lots to talk about tonight. The White Sox had what was almost certainly their best series and weekend of the season out in the Bronx, taking 2 out of 3 from the Yankees, handing the Yankees just their second series loss of the season. Johnny Cueto pitched fantastic. Michael Kopech had his national arrival last night with his best start of his young career. But all that overshadowed by what went on between Tim Anderson and Josh Donaldson. Of course, we will be talking about that, breaking down both the series, but also that altercation which resulted in Donaldson getting suspended for a game. Has that been enough? When we're done talking baseball, let's talk some WNBA. Let's talk about the Sky. Candace Parker set an NBA record, hit some WNBA records yesterday, and the MVP is back. Kahleah Copper makes her return after EuroLeague is done. And finally, before we get out of here, you know I always like to talk about the Bears. We got a little bit of fun to talk about with the Bears and their stadium situation. All that and more coming up. This is Chi-Town Weekly. Buckle it on up. Let's have some fun. And everybody, welcome on in. I am Adam Karnick, your host here on Chi-Town Weekly. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight. A little bit off schedule tonight, I know. Thank you for being flexible, everybody. I really do appreciate that. Give you the reason for all that. Have some friends in from out of town that my wife and I have not seen for quite a few months. When I say from out of town, I mean from across the pond. They back in October moved to England and are back in town for just a few days, so wanted to carve out some time to see them. They had some time tonight. My wife and I and our daughter really wanted to see them, so we carved out some time to see them. Meant bumping the show back a little bit, but that's okay. I knew that everybody could be a little flexible, and hey, if you have to catch me on the podcast, that's what we have to do. So it's good to see them. Everybody's in good health and doing well. It was good to see them. Lots to talk about tonight here on the show. Of course, I was planning on talking White Sox anyway, and then the Josh Donaldson situation. We've got to address that, plus the fun part of sports, the best series that the Sox have had to this point. They might now actually arrive. They might actually, hopefully, can be a 500 and stay above 500 now for a little bit. Plus, we've got some other stuff we're going to talk about tonight. We're going to talk about the Sky, the WNBA, and we'll sneak in a little bit of Bears talk, too, if we can. But before we go any further, of course, we do need to acknowledge our sponsors here on the show tonight, starting with the Southern California Warriors semi-pro football team. The world of semi-pro sports is unlike any other sports organizations. Players pay to play in hopes of so many different outcomes, whether it's playing to get film to try out for professional teams, big-time colleges, or just playing to stay in shape. No matter what, all semi-pro players have one thing in common, and that's playing for the love of the game. The SoCal Warriors have been on a quest to earn titles and give players second chances since 2017. Whether you're in Southern California or anywhere in the world, give semi-pro sports a chance if you love your sport. You may get that second chance you've been waiting for as an athlete. You can find them on Twitter at SoCal Warriors, Instagram at Southern California _Warriors, or just go on Facebook and search Southern California Warriors. IE Sports Radio, we are available for you on all the major social platforms. Just search at IE Sports Radio. That handles Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Or go to our website, iesportsradio.com. For the last 8 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content, ranging from interviewing legendary athletes to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the world. All the while, we've continued to be by the fans, for the fans. And with your help, we're ready to take the next step. When you go to our website, iesportsradio.com, you'll see our Patreon link with 5 different tiers. The first one starting at just $5 a month. This donation gets you shout-outs on all 32 of our shows. Higher tiers include IE Sports Radio merchandise, access to our podcasting university, and even a chance to be featured on a segment of our flagship show, The Defining Moment. Thank you all so very much for continuing to make IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports. And I do want to acknowledge our Patreon supporters at this time: Bay Area Raised, M. Los Great, Key to the Gate, and our anonymous supporter. Thank you all for your support on Patreon. We really do appreciate it. And thank you, everyone, for making our 8th anniversary something special. It was an excellent show that Larry hosted. I know it was a busy weekend for him, but he had a lot of fun doing it. Lot of good stuff going on there. And we do have a fan of the month this month. Justin Ekstrom is our fan of the month. He's a Vikings fan from Minnesota. You can follow him on Twitter at thesportscrib21. That's Justin Ekstrom. Be sure to check him out. And of course, the view from enemy territory is always a good thing to check out and keep an eye on. So I wanted to start tonight, of course, with the White Sox. And as a question of, do we want to start with the fun stuff, or do we want to start with the serious stuff? And I think we have to start with the serious stuff. Before I dive in, ways to follow along with this show. This show is available for you on Twitter at IESRC. You can follow along there, or you can follow along with my personal Twitter at Adam_Karnick. If you are happening to be listening live tonight, I know it's a different time. Again, thank you everybody for your flexibility. But if you are listening live right now on Spreaker, hop on into the chat. Good evening, Mike. I see Mike Pat just hopped into the chat room. Or if you're just listening podcast, that's great. I am here for you in whatever way works best and fits into your life. I'm just glad you're able to make time for me in your busy schedule. I appreciate it. So I want to start tonight with the heavy stuff, the big stuff from over the weekend with the Sox and the Yankees going into it. In case you somehow missed the story, recap real quick. In the games, in the game Saturday, game Friday, of course, got rained out, postponed to yesterday afternoon. So they did a doubleheader on Sunday. So the first game on Saturday, there was an altercation, a couple of altercations. Tim Anderson and Josh Donaldson had an altercation between first and second, where things got a little heated between the two of them. And then when Donaldson came up to the plate a couple of innings later, Yasmani Grandal stopped the game and had a very heated conversation with Donaldson. And the benches cleared, bullpens emptied, everything got busy, got very hectic, very fast. And nobody was really sure what had gone on. The first thought that went through a lot of people's heads was the two of them had a bit of a dust-up when the Yankees were in Chicago a couple weeks ago. Tim Anderson had slid back into third base at one point, and Donaldson shoved him off the bag. Benches cleared at that point, and people thought maybe it was a continuation of that. And then we found out after the fact, listening to Tim Anderson, that no, it was Donaldson had some derogatory words for Anderson. Specifically, he called him Jackie in reference to Jackie Robinson. And Donaldson said later, well, I'll give Anderson's part of it first. And I'm paraphrasing, I'm not quoting directly. Anderson effectively said that I took that in a negative connotation. I felt like he was calling me Jackie in a racist way, that it was not in fun. It was not playful. It was mean-spirited. It was derogatory. It was racial. It was racially motivated. And Tony La Russa, to his credit, backed up his player. And yeah, and we know TLR does not have a great history for backing up his players. Your mean Mercedes last year getting plunked by the Twins instantly springs to mind. But Tony La Russa, no, absolutely. What Donaldson made some racist comments. He was interested to see what the Yankees did. Donaldson, in his defense, pointed out, well, yeah, I called him Jackie. Anderson had referred to himself in an interview with Sports Illustrated back in 2019. Anderson brought up Jackie Robinson, and he had said, again, I'm going to paraphrase, that Tim Anderson in some ways viewed himself as this generation's Jackie Robinson. Not that he was necessarily being a trailblazer for racial integration, but that Jackie brought a lot of energy and emotion and, frankly, fun into the game of baseball. And that's what Tim Anderson was trying to do, to try to re-energize, re-inject some of that fun, some of that character back into the game of baseball. Baseball has very businesslike, where you are expected to have been there, done that before. And Anderson was, no, we're playing a game. It's supposed to be fun. We can have sportsmanship and still have fun while we're playing the game. And Donaldson, he was in Atlanta at the time when that article came out. And he said, down in Atlanta, we laughed about it. We joked about it. And we started calling him Jackie. And that was the part I wish somebody in the media corps had gotten some clarification from Donaldson, because the way Donaldson then kind of acted and the way some people have been trying to defend Donaldson was saying, well, he was saying that he and Anderson, that he had used this term Jackie around Tim Anderson before, and Anderson hadn't had a problem with it. When I first heard that quote from Donaldson where he said, I was down in Atlanta, we read it, we laughed about it, and we started calling him Jackie, I heard that as this was going on in the Atlanta Braves dugout, that Anderson knew nothing about it. And you listen to the way that Anderson talked about it, this sounded like it was news to Anderson too, that he didn't realize that Josh Donaldson has been calling him Jackie, has been calling him Jackie to other people. This whole thing feels like when you have a nickname for somebody that isn't a nice nickname, so you make sure that you don't use it around them, and then you slip up and use it around them, and they pick up that, oh yeah, that's not a, wait, you called me what? Why'd you call me that? MLB has since gotten involved, and word came down earlier today that Donaldson has been suspended for 1 game. He's also been fined. Joe Kelly, now a relief pitcher with the White Sox, spoke earlier today, this afternoon, and he felt that was nowhere near enough of a suspension. He pointed out he got 8 games basically for shouting at somebody. You know, the Houston Astros flat out cheated for an entire season. Didn't get punished at all. And here you're using while it might not be a racial slur, it was certainly a derogatory comment with racial connotations behind it. And he gets all of a game. Baseball is very inconsistent with how it likes to dole out punishment. You know, heck, Anderson got suspended 3 games for something that wasn't as controversial as this at the end of last season. He got 3 games for a baseball play, for playing baseball hard. Obviously a little too hard, but playing baseball hard. This is worse than that, to put it nicely. It's not my place to say whether or not Josh Donaldson is racist. I don't know Josh Donaldson. I can't say. I can't say one way or the other. I don't know the man. I haven't met the man. He seems to have a hard time getting along with his teammates. You know, he was an MVP 7 years ago, and he's been on 4 teams since then. He's bounced around the league quite a bit, and you haven't heard anybody from the Yankees really try to defend him for this either. Nobody's trying to step up for him and say, hey, Josh is a good dude. I know, the usual platitudes of, oh, this guy can't possibly be racist. I know him, and he would never do anything. He would never say that, yada, 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 blah, 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 BS that we're used to hearing. I don't know. I don't know whether to give the Yankees credit for that or on the one hand, you're letting a teammate twist in the wind. On the other hand, you're recognizing that a guy said something he absolutely shouldn't have, and you're just kind of letting him reap what he sows a little bit. I'm not sure whether to praise or damn the Yankees for that. I think I'm leaning towards praise, though, in this case. I'm not usually one to congratulate the Yankees for doing the right thing, but this feels like the right thing. Just kind of back up and let Donaldson take his arrows as they come for this. I can't speak to whether or not Josh Donaldson is racist or not. What I can speak to is Tim Anderson did not appreciate his little nickname from Donaldson. And that's really what matters there in this whole thing. Tim Anderson didn't think it was funny. Tim Anderson didn't think it was cute. Tim Anderson didn't see it in a playful way. Tim Anderson took it seriously, and his teammates took it seriously and defended him with their honor. It seemed to wake the team up, too, a little bit from a baseball perspective. I guess we can transition from that now, somewhat jarringly and forcefully, into the games themselves. Going into that series, the thinking was, oh, God, it took everything they could just to win a series against the Royals. Now they have to go to New York and face the Yankees. This could get ugly. This could get really ugly really fast. Dallas Keuchel pitching Saturday. You kind of figured that eventually the shoe was going to drop on that, and sure enough, it did. Keuchel did not pitch well on Saturday. And you wound up with a doubleheader day. And you're thinking, how is this going to go? How's this going to turn out for the Sox? You've got Johnny Cueto and Michael Kopech going here. And Cueto, my goodness, now he's only just made a couple of starts. I realize and recognize that there is a reason nobody had signed him, and there was a reason that he was available. And I wouldn't be shocked if the other shoe falls sometime soon for Johnny Cueto. But in the meantime, 6 innings, 6 hits, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts, 95 pitches overall. Outstanding work. Outstanding work from Cueto. Didn't factor in the decision because, unfortunately, the bullpen couldn't hold it. It was a 1-0 lead. Bullpen couldn't quite make it stick. Aaron Judge did what Aaron Judge does and just absolutely murdered a baseball. But then the offense got it back. A.J. Pollock with a home run, Adam Engel with an RBI double, and they got the win, 3-1. You held the Yankees to 1 run. All right, yeah, Kendall Graveman, you'd prefer to not give up a home run to Aaron Judge, but you do need a little bit of offensive support too. They got the win. All right, cool. They're not going to get swept. Well, now's the big game. The Sunday Nighter, ESPN. You know the cameras are going to be out. You know everybody's going to be locked in. You've got the added storyline of Donaldson versus Anderson now factoring in. How's this going to go? In steps Michael Kopech. Michael Kopech. What a start. What a gem of a start for him. There was a story, I'm trying to get it pulled up here on Sports Mockery by Mitchell Kaminsky, and unfortunately I'm having a little bit of trouble pulling it up. But what a gem of a game from Michael Kopech. 7 innings, 1 hit, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts. These are the Yankees. These are the guys that are, they're the Bronx Bombers, and they're destroying the baseball. Aaron Judge, Anthony Rizzo, Giancarlo Stanton, between them have more home runs than some teams have at this point. You're at Yankee Stadium, where those have got to be some of the smallest and shortest porches ever designed in a baseball stadium, short of Fenway. There's 2 stadiums. If I were a major league pitcher, I would hate to be in the American League East, because I've got to pitch at Yankee Stadium. I've got to pitch at Fenway Park. Shoot me now. You could roll a bowling ball out there and somebody's going to hit it over the wall for a home run in those parks. And he absolutely owned that lineup. Retired the first 14 batters he faced. Kaminsky pointed out in the Sports Mockery article, and unfortunately I can't pull it up, but I read through it earlier. Kopech had faced the Yankees in his last start before going on paternity leave. He had faced the Yankees. He was the hard luck loser in that one. Only gave up a couple of hits in that start, but walks were his undoing in that game, and he ultimately was the hard luck loser. But he did, in that game, he did retire the final 13 batters he faced. He then starts off last night retiring the first 14. Over the course of 2 starts, he threw a perfect game against the Yankees, against that lineup and that team. Michael Kopech, obviously it doesn't count as a perfect game. It shouldn't be considered a perfect game. But he got 27 straight outs against that lineup. Welcome to the show, young man. He's had a hard climb to get to this point. And you never want to put too much emphasis on a start in late May. We haven't even hit Memorial Day yet. I know that. But what a start. What a performance from that young man. His ERA, he's got an ERA now that is sub 1.5. He went into the start last night with an ERA of 1.56. He's got an earned run average now of 1.29. He's got a whip that's walks and hits per innings pitch. Basically, how many guys do you allow on base per inning? Below 1, below 0.9. It's 0.86. If you get on base against him in an inning, you have overachieved against him. Opponents are hitting just a $120 against him overall. What a start for Michael Kopech. It's going to be interesting to see how many starts he gets overall this season, but I hope that this is a launching point for him and he just becomes the right-handed version of Chris Sale that we've all kind of been waiting for. And he was doing it. His fastball topped out at over 100 miles an hour last night, and he was using that slider. He was making liberal use of that slider of his last night. It's not a Chris Sale slider. It's not that starts out behind your back and then winds up hitting the corner down and away from you. It's not that wicked of a pitch, but man, has he got movement on it, and has he got command of it. It was just exciting to watch. And then the cherry on top was Tim Anderson hit the put-away home run in the 8th inning to have the Sox go up 5-0. And the crowd was booing him every time he came up to the plate because of what had gone on Saturday. And he was able to silence the crowd with a 3-run bomb in the 8th inning as the Sox go on to win 5-0. Outstanding weekend for the White Sox. They now will, after this, they had today off. They've now got 3 games with the Red Sox and then a couple of games with the Cubs this week. They're above 500. I mean, they started the series against the Yankees sub 500. They are now above 500. They're 21-20. Hopefully now they can springboard that into a good week and they can put 500 in the rearview mirror and concentrate on overtaking the Twins for first place in this division. All right, we are going to take our first break, and then when we come back, we got to talk some hoops. Candace Parker did something that very few have done in WNBA history even once. She has now done it twice. We'll talk about that and more on Chi-Town Weekly here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's up, everybody? This is Darren Rodriguez. Are you a fan of volleyball? Are you a fan of Thunderous Spikes? Then I have the show for you, Set Point, where I cover NCAA men's and women's volleyball, high school boys and girls volleyball, beach volleyball, and even professional volleyball. Catch the action every week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What is going on, everybody? My name is Harrison Glazer, and we're coming at you from the Show That Never Sleeps podcast. I cover the Jets, the Islanders, the Nets, and the Yankees.
This is Pierre Moss, and I cover the Mets, Knicks, Rangers, and the Giants.
Our show is live every Wednesday through Spreaker and a bunch of other ways to get our content. Again, we're the Show That Never Sleeps podcast. We talk about all those New York sports. It's a lot of fun. We get into all of it. Please tune in. Again, that's Wednesdays at 6 p.m.
And we look forward to having you guys right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hey, what's up, BS3 sports fans? If you love listening to the BS3 Sports Show, check out the weekend wrap-up every Monday at 12:15 Central Time, 1:15 Eastern, recapping the weekend in sports like you never heard it before. Comedy, interactive chat room, it's a must-listen. Weekend wrap-up on Spreaker.com. Part of the X Squad. Check it out. You won't be disappointed.
Hey there, sports fans. Are you looking for a sports show that maybe isn't 100% about sports?
Then you might want to check out the Sports Couple Perspectives right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Most sports shows cover only scores and stats, and while we're not opposed to that, we dig a little deeper into sports issues and some of the hottest topics in athletics.
In addition to sports, we take a journey through my neck of the woods, pop culture, with movie reviews of both sports and non-sports films.
Speaking of pop culture, make sure to participate in our game nights, where we quiz each other on our specialties, and you, the listeners, can win IE Sports Radio apparel.
We always have a great time learning more about each other's worlds, one show at a time.
So join us each week on the Sports Couple Perspectives, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's good, fight fans? It's your boy, Marcus Los Great, here to give you what you want, here to give you what you need. Yeah, man. Yeah. I'm coming to you live, straight from your mama's basement with a crispy white tea. We are coming to you live every Tuesday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
And welcome back in here to Chi-Town Weekly on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Adam Kernick with you here. So we talked a lot of baseball there in the first segment. Now we want to get over to the hardwood, go inside and talk some basketball. The Chicago Sky are defending their first ever WNBA championship. And off to a decent start so far. Through 5 games on the season, they are 3-2 overall, which right now puts them in 4th place in the Eastern Conference standings. They are in 6th place overall in the league. It's a logjam, though. They are effectively only 2 games back of Las Vegas, whom they play this upcoming weekend for first place. So not very many games into the season. The Aces, the Las Vegas Aces, have already played 7 games. Chicago's only played 5. So some work to be done there to get caught up as far as number of games played, but still things going well there. Over the weekend, the Sky took on the Mystics and got a very convincing win over Washington, 82-73. In that win, they had a couple of things. First, the return of Finals MVP Kahleah Copper. Copper played in her first game back from playing over in EuroLeagues. She played for one of the Spanish teams, won the Spanish League MVP and the EuroLeague MVP. Comes back, and then in her first game back with the Sky, takes on Washington and finished with a very respectable 12 points. She was the number 2 scorer of the starters. She finished 3rd overall on the team in scoring in the game. Azariah Stevens had 13 points. The star of the game, though, unquestionably, Candace Parker. Parker finished 7 of 13 from the field, including 2 of 6 from 3, 16 points, 13 rebounds, and 10 assists for a triple-double. So the second triple-double of her career. She is just the third player in WNBA history to record multiple triple-doubles in a career. The other two are her current Chicago Sky teammate Courtney Vandersloot and WNBA legend Cheryl Swoops. Parker said after the game, quote, "It means a lot to be in the company with Sloot, who does it on a regular basis and will end up leading the league in assists, and Cheryl Swoops. I grew up watching her play and idolizing her. To be in that company, I realize there are more that are coming behind me. Hoping coaches are watching post players. Point forwards. That's where it's at." There are just 12 players in WNBA history to record a triple-double. Candace Parker first did it 5 years ago in 2017. The last triple-double was almost exactly a year ago. Sabrina Ionescu of the New York Liberty got a triple-double last May of 2021. So congratulations to Candace Parker on that feat. Sky are off to a good start, as I mentioned. 3-2 overall. They're right there in the thick of things. Now they're getting Kahleah Copper back. They didn't have her to start the season. They've got a game coming up with the Indiana Fever tomorrow night. That should be a win. That's at home. Indiana is struggling. Indiana's just 2-6 to start the season. That should be a win. And then the big one is coming this Saturday, 2 o'clock Saturday afternoon, ABC, so nationally televised game, hosting the Las Vegas Aces. That should be an entertaining game. That should be a good one to watch. It'd be great to see how that goes down. Right now, ESPN in their power rankings, they've got Chicago Sky right now as the number 3 team in their power rankings overall. The Aces are the number 1 team. Go figure. The Aces are the top team in the league right now at 6-1. You've got Connecticut with just 1 loss. Washington, that was just Washington's second loss of the season. You've got a bunch of 2-loss teams. But that should be an excellent game there on Saturday. You can't overlook tomorrow night, though. You can't overlook Indy. Yes, Indy's coming in at just 2-6. Should be a game that Chicago wins, but you hate to overlook an opponent just because you got a big game coming up this weekend. You don't want to overlook the game in the middle of the week either. Take care of business against Indiana. Get out to a big lead. Put that one away early. Let Candace get some rest. Let some of the other players, let Kahleah catch a little bit of bench in that game. She's had herself a busy year, a busy schedule. Let her catch some breathing time there. But then the big one will be this Saturday afternoon against Las Vegas. That should be a lot of fun to watch. Should be an excellent game. But congratulations to Candace for the triple-double. We see it a lot in the NBA where guys get triple-doubles. I mean, who was it? Russell Westbrook used to be a triple-double machine in his heyday. He's not quite any longer, what he once was, but you'd see it on a little bit more regular of a basis in the men's game, but in the women's game, the triple-double is not nearly as prominent. She's just the 12th. This is just the 12th time that there has been a triple-double in WNBA history, and Candace Parker is now one of only 3 players to record multiple triple-doubles in a career. And she's 36. And at one point, Candace Parker, while she wasn't necessarily mulling retirement, she wasn't taking it off the table this offseason either. She was acknowledging that, I did just win a title. Is it ever going to get better than this? What I have right now? But she decided she wasn't done yet. And clearly she's not, because she's going out there and being able to record, put up numbers like this. And you look at her numbers overall, and again, it's early in the season. We've still got, I'm doing the math here real quick. They've still got 31 games to go in the season. It's very early in the year. You're 5 games into a 37 game, you're a very small percentage of the way through your season. You don't want to get too overboard with the numbers, but still, you look at the numbers that Candace is putting up right now. At this point, she's averaging 14 points a game. That's actually a shade under her career numbers. She's averaging 8 rebounds. That's basically her career numbers. She's getting more assists. She is having a very Candace Parker-like season so far. The point is, she has not lost it yet. She's not riding coattails by any means. She is putting up numbers that you're used to seeing from her. And we'll see how long that continues and how well that continues. So, good things coming from the Sky. Good things coming from Wintrust Arena. Their next 3 games for sure are all at home. I'm double checking here to see where that June calendar. Yeah, their next three games are all at home, and 4 of their next 5 are at home. So plenty of opportunities to head out to Wintrust Arena and catch a game there and see the Sky in action. This Saturday should be an excellent opportunity to do so. All right, we are going to take one more quick break, and then on the other side, I wanted to talk just a little bit of Bears before we got out of here tonight. A little bit about what is seeming more and more like it's going to be their new home. This is Chi-Town Weekly on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's up, sports fans? Are you looking for the latest on Northern California sports? Then take a trip out west with me, your host, Gina G, on Reppin' to NorCal Sports, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I'll be bringing it to you all the way live every Monday at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern. And it's always a packed show. I'll bring you everything Dynastic 49ers, the bite of the San Jose Sharks, torture of the San Francisco Giants, the Golden State Warriors that we still believe. Then take you across the bay to the rise and grind of the Oakland A's. I've got you covered on college ball from the Cal Bears to the Stanford Cardinal, so that no matter what, reppin' in NorCal sports is always reppin' the Bay. So if you bleed red and gold, or you're looking to keep an eye out west in them thar hills, don't miss me, Gina G, on reppin' in NorCal sports. Catch me every Monday at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern, and I'll have your fandom repped harder than a trio of defenders guarding Stephen Curry before his buzzer beater is Gucci.
What is going on, everybody? This is Ben Metello, the host of the Yinza Report, right here on IE Sports Radio. I'm bringing you the latest in the Steel City, the City of Champions, from the Steelers, the Penguins, the Pirates, as well as the college game with both Penn State and Pitt. You could join me every Tuesday afternoon at 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, right here on IE Sports Radio, where I'll be talking about everything from the Steel City, the City of Champions, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Davidson.
It's your boy, Dentarius Lava.
And we are the hosts of Fast Break here on IE Sports Radio, where we discuss everything in the world of basketball from prep to the pros.
You guys should definitely check us out, man. Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We got all the basketball information you guys need, so we look forward to you guys listening in.
And please do, because we are the best basketball show on this side of the Mississippi. And please do check us out on Twitter at FastBreakISR. D-Lock, where's our time again?
8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. That give you guys spending time on a Sunday.
Tune in.
What's happening, sports fans? Are you a fan of Southern California sports? Are you looking for a show hotter than a hot summer day in California? Then look no further than the SoCal Supreme Sports Show, where I talk about all things Southern California sports. That's right, all sports teams from Southern California. From the hard-hitting tackles of the NFL, to the killer crossovers and big three-pointers of the NBA and WNBA, to the grand slams of the MLB, to the bone-chilling goals of the NHL, and to the booming kicks of the MLS, the SoCal Supreme Sports Show has it all for you. Oh, and let us not forget about the college sports as well. So join me, Taryn Rodriguez, every week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Attention, all sports fans! If you're someone who wakes up each morning with lists of sporting events to go along with your to-do list for the day, then you just might be a diehard. The world of sports is as vast as the ocean is deep, including the major leagues, the minor leagues, the colleges, and everything in between. This is me, your boy Larry B of IE Sports Radio, welcoming you to join me every Monday evening at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern on The Defining Moment, a show that focuses on what really matters in the sports world, sports themselves, and nothing outside of them. Once again, tune in for The Defining Moment with me, your boy Larry B, every Monday evening at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern on IE Sports Radio, right here on Spreaker.com. We'll see you there.
And welcome back into Chi-Town Weekly here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Adam Karnick with you here for just a few more minutes as we wrap up here on this Monday evening. Once again, I want to say thank you for everybody being a little bit flexible with my schedule tonight. Some real life stuff just got involved, and the episode had to start a little later than normal. Next week, we should be back, even though it is Memorial Day. Next Monday, I am planning on doing a full show at the regular time. So next week we will be back on schedule. Things should be back on track just as they normally are. Before we get out of here tonight, I did want to talk a little bit Bears. We do have a final. Actually, I'll go ahead and give that before we get out of here. I wasn't planning on talking about it because I didn't figure I'd be on it, 9 o'clock at night. So the Cubs are in Cincinnati this week for a 4-game set. Cubs took game 1. They beat the Reds 7-4 tonight. Doing a quick recap here. 4th inning was the big inning. 4 runs for the Cubs. Ian Happ with an RBI double. Patrick Wisdom, his 3rd straight game with a home run. It was a 3-run shot that scored, obviously himself, Ian Happ, and Rivas all scored on that. And then Happ finished things off with a home run, with a 3-run home run in the 7th inning. So taking advantage of that short porch there. Speaking of short porches, out in right field there. The Reds, they got a couple of home runs in the 6th inning. Trying to get a first name here for the player for Aristides Aquino. Had a couple of different home runs tonight for the Reds, but ultimately it's a win for the Cubs, 7-4. Drew Smyly, 5 2/3 innings, gives up 3 earned runs on 4 hits, a couple of walks, struck out 5. He did qualify and get the win. And then David Robertson with another save. David Robertson with the save for the Cubs. He worked a perfect 9th inning, striking out 2 batters for his 6th save of the year. So Cubs with the win tonight. They'll be back at it in Cincinnati at the Great American Ballpark again tomorrow night. So before we get out of here, I did want to talk just a little bit Bears. Nothing necessarily huge. They've been wrapping up their mini camps. All kinds of stories and rumors flying around. Nothing huge, nothing too major or earth-shattering to be talking about there. I don't believe any of the Robert Quinn rumors, hence why I'm not even going to bother to address them. Moving on. I did see a story, again, on Sports Mockery, this one from Eric Lambert, who writes about the Bears there on Sports Mockery, talking about the stadium situation. And this is just, again, further confirmation to me that the Bears are indeed moving. It is simply a matter of when. They need of when they can get all this done and when they can get this taken care of. The village of Arlington Heights is working with the team and is in communication with the team regarding the Bears' plans for a stadium. The Bears have reached out to the same architecting firm that built Allegiant Stadium out in Vegas, where the Raiders now play. That same company that designed and ultimately built that stadium, which I had a buddy of mine who actually just was out there and visited it. He gives it 2 thumbs up. That same firm has been brought on by the Bears to look at designing the stadium that would be going into the Arlington property. The village is in communication with the Bears to make sure, they're not at any kind of hard and fast, but they're kicking ideas around to make sure that what the Bears are planning is going to be okay with the village, that they aren't going to have to go in and do any rezoning or redistricting, or if they do ultimately decide that, we might need to change some things here, then the village can look at doing that in ample time. They're doing this in advance of the Bears finalizing the purchase of the property. That won't actually happen. They won't officially take ownership of the racetrack until early next year is when everything will get finalized with, I believe it's Caesars, who technically owns the racetrack. That sale won't become final until early next year. In the meantime, the village is working with the Bears, with the team, to make sure that what they're planning on doing is actually going to work and is going to be there. That way, they can adjust things as they need be, or if things absolutely fall apart, the Bears can back out of the sale. Just further proof that this thing is fait accompli. It is done. No matter what Mayor Lori Lightfoot says, no matter what the city tries to convince the Bears, this is the right situation. This is the correct situation for the Bears. This is the start of this is how our relationship should start. There's open communication between the Bears and the village of Arlington Heights. Obviously, things could happen between now and then, but it's getting started the right way. I honestly hope that the village doesn't have to, bend or break too many things to accommodate the Bears. I hope the Bears are willing to give as well as take in the relationship, but this is a done deal. This is a done deal. If you are truly a fan of Soldier Field, and I don't dislike Soldier Field, but I would make sure that if you truly are a huge fan of Soldier Field, that you be sure to plan a trip out there to get there in the next few seasons, because they're not going to be there very much longer. All right, that is going to do it for our show tonight. Again, thank you everybody for being flexible with the time. It was really good to see some good friends that we haven't seen for quite a while. Got to have some food with them and just enjoy the evening with them a little bit. So thank you everybody for being a little bit flexible with the time. Next week I will be back, regular time, 7 o'clock, Monday night. I promise. It'll be Memorial Day. We'll have the Indy 500 to discuss a little bit. We'll have White Sox. We'll have Cubs. We'll have things to go. We'll have the big Sky game against the Aces. I do hope to get to watch that this weekend. We will have plenty of things to talk about next Monday over the holiday. Thank you, of course, to our sponsors, the Southern California Warriors, for continuing to sponsor not just this show, but all the shows on the network. Thank you to our Patreon supporters, Bay Area Raised, MLOS Great, Key to the Gate, and our anonymous supporter for showing your love for IE Sports Radio. Thank you to Larry B for all he does behind the scenes. He got married recently. He's starting to get back into the groove of things now. Quick little honeymoon, I guess. They're back at it. He and Cecilia are back at it. They may even be on this weekend with Sports Couples Perspective. We will see what the calendar holds. I will be back on tomorrow night, just about 23 hours from now or so. I will be on with Zach Pupless. We will be doing the Neutral Zone, talking all things NHL playoffs. We had another series actually go final. The Tampa Bay Lightning swept the Florida Panthers. I will have many thoughts on that tomorrow. I'm sure Zach will have some fun things to include in there as well. Lots going on in the NHL right now. And Tuesday's a busy day. Next up is going to be Ben Metello with the Yinzer Report tomorrow. I believe he's planning on going on at noon Central tomorrow. Until then, be good. We'll see you next week.